Take two because I wasn't recording the first time. Hello and welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I am premiering a new show I am calling Weekly Watchlist. I'm going to take you through every single streamer. I'm going to tell you about all the brand new movies and some of the more recent releases that I'm excited about that I can recommend are worth watching. Before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you would check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. I am really trying to grow this thing, make YouTube my full-time thing, so any help I would greatly appreciate. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Okay, let's get into it. Now, because this is the first episode, I'm going to talk about a few recent releases and not just ones that came out this week. On Netflix, in the action section, first off, technically still a new release on Netflix, it's Apex. Now, this is a very popular movie. If you haven't seen it or heard about it yet, it's starring Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton, and I do have a review for it in the description below. Man on Fire is a series based on the Denzel Washington action film from the early 2000s. I really loved the movie, and the show was really good too. I recommend the show if you're an action fan. 5 Pounds of Pressure is the number 3 movie on Netflix right now. Although I couldn't really get into it. I turned it off after about a half an hour. It just never really hooked me. It's not super bad or anything like that. It's not offensive. It's just not super well made either. And there's so much good stuff out there that if it's not great, I'm just not going to give it my full time. I Will Find You is the number 1 show on Netflix right now, although I'm not exactly sure why. This I didn't think was super well made. It's not terrible, but it's also not very good. There was a lot of exposition. The directing was just okay. Again, it didn't really hook me. I didn't like, overall, I didn't really like much of anything about it. It felt fairly amateurish, fairly generic, and I just can't really recommend it. I don't think it's worth 8 episodes of your time. Okay, let's go to Amazon. A recent release was Spider Noir, which has got Nick Cage playing Spider-Man. That's really all you need to know on this one. I do think it's a lot of fun, especially if you're into this superhero genre, if you're into Spider-Man. How can you not check it out? I have a review for this one as well. The link is in the description below. Also, an action on HBO Max is They Will Kill You with Zazie Beetz, Patricia Arquette, and Heather Graham, who I have not seen in anything in a long, long time. Now, this is kind of a ridiculous action horror comedy film that wasn't getting very good reviews, so I wasn't expecting anything from it, but I actually really liked it quite a bit. There is a lot of fun stuff going on in here, and it is very graphically violent, so if you're not super into that sort of thing, I get it. It may not be for you, but it's done with kind of this tongue-in-cheek tone that actually was a lot of fun and had a lot of humor injected. And I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that has reminded me as much of this one has, of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. If you're a big fan of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, this is kind of the hard R version of that. So I actually really enjoyed it. I recommend They Will Kill You on HBO Max. Okay, a thriller on Netflix is Until Dawn. I'm excited to see this one because I love the video game so much, but if you paid for the Netflix without ads, good for you. I am too cheap. So I was not able to see this movie until very recently. But if you pay for the no ads version of Netflix, you could have watched this months ago. But I'm pretty excited about it because I'm a big fan of the video game, although I'm not expecting it to be very good. 28 Years Later Bone Temple is the conclusion of the 28 Years Later saga. I really loved 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, so I'm expecting to like the conclusion of this one too, although I have not had a chance to see it yet. But if you like that series, if you like zombie movies, elevated horror, definitely check it out. Another thriller on Paramount is called Primate. Now, I'm not really into these kinds of horror movies anymore. I used to like them a lot more when I was younger. This one looks a little silly. It's gotten mixed reviews online. Check it out if you're into this sort of thing, but I don't know that I can recommend it. Cape Fear on Apple is a limited series by Martin Scorsese. He's one of the executive producers. And it's excellent so far. I think I highly recommend it, and I think it's very much worth your time. It's very intense. The acting is tremendous. This is probably Javier Bardem's best role since No Country for Old Men. He's phenomenal in this. I'm going to do its own review once the season is over. And the season finale is happening on July 31st. So you have some time to catch up if you haven't seen any of Apple TV's Cape Fear. Okay, in the drama department on Stars, if you have Stars, Jessica Chastain is a powerful socialite who has a dangerous affair with an undocumented Mexican. Ooh, in Dreams. It's not well reviewed. I'm not holding out hopes that it's going to be good. However, I thought I would mention it because it is a smaller film. If it is good, it should get a spotlight on it. But I love Jessica Chastain. She's one of my favorite actresses. I don't think she's made a bad movie in a long, long time, maybe if ever. So I'm probably going to check it out at some point. And if you're a fan of hers as well, I figured I would mention it. Beef Season 2 is a fairly recent release with Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan. It's obviously the second installment of the first season of Beef. Beef Season 1 was actually really good. Beef Season 2 is pretty good. I do think it's worth your time. I also have a review for that one in the description below. Another Oscar Isaac movie on Netflix is In the Hand of Dante. I don't know what to make of this movie. I have not watched it yet because it is fairly new. It looks very, very weird from the trailer. I can't tell. It's listed as a drama, but I can't tell if it's a comedy or a thriller. But there are parts of it that are in black and white. It looks very interesting, but also, too, it could be very weird and maybe not quite everyone's cup of tea. A recent comedy is How to Make a Killing on HBO Max. It's with Glenn Powell and Margaret Qualley. I like those two actors. It looked good from the trailer, although I have to say I turned it off after 10 minutes. It started very, very boring, and the structure was not working at all. I could already see where it was going to go, and I was not a fan. So, unfortunately, I cannot recommend that one at all. Some documentaries to think about watching. If you're a fan of SNL, on Peacock right now is Lauren, which is all about Lorne Michaels and how he's done 50 seasons of SNL. So if you're an SNL fan, definitely check that one out. On Netflix, some true crime documentaries. I'll highlight 3 of them real quick. Should I Marry a Murderer? I really enjoyed this one. I mean, as much as you can enjoy these kinds of documentaries, but I thought it was very well done. The main girl that it focuses on, she's very well spoken. She tells her story very eloquently and well. I highly recommend Should I Marry a Murderer. The next 2 are called Crash and Maternal Instinct. Both of these are very popular on Netflix right now. If you haven't heard about them, I have a review for both of them in the description below in the form of my podcast. So if you're a fan of true crime and you're interested in either The Crash or Maternal Instinct, I have podcast episodes about those ones that I highly recommend you check out first. Okay, so now we're at the new releases for this week. House of the Dragon Season 3 on HBO Max is one of the biggest releases this week. If you're a big Game of Thrones fan, House of the Dragon fan, obviously you're excited to see this series come back. I thought episode 1 was really good, although this show goes back and forth between kind of boring, long-winded, maybe too many characters and too many plot lines, and then all of a sudden we'll get into an action sequence or we'll get into a really interesting character sequence, and it'll really draw me back in and I'll be loving it and it'll feel like old times with Game of Thrones. So this first episode of season 3 was kind of no different. It was a little long in the tooth at times. I was getting a little bored in the middle, but by the end there is an awesome action sequence and there's some pretty major character deaths that are really interesting. So I might be doing weekly reviews on this series, but I'm curious to see what you guys thought of episode 1 so far. I enjoy it, but if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, obviously it's not for you. Also on HBO Max is a documentary called The Welcome Table. It's a documentary that explores the cost of global warming through people from all over the world who have lost their homes due to it. It sounds really interesting, but it also sounds like a hard watch. So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm curious if any of you have seen it. It does look really well made. Okay, on Disney and Hulu is Avatar 3. Obviously, this is another big release this week. If you're a big fan of Avatar movies, you've probably already seen it. I was a big fan of the Avatar 1. Although there was too much time in between 1 and 2, I kind of lost interest. And 2 didn't really hook me like 1 did, and the exact same problem happened with 3. I was at least able to finish all of 2. I did not finish 3. I turned it off after about a half an hour or so. Now, is there some good action? Yeah, but I had to sit through about 20 to 25 minutes of just boring character stuff from characters who I don't care about, I don't know very well, in a world that I can't connect with. And what was interesting about the first movie is we got to follow Jake Sully into Pandora, and we were always rooted in something human. We were able to connect with everything around him through Jake Sully's experience. But ever since Jake Sully became a full Na'vi and he left any of his humanity really behind him, I can't connect to anything going on in this movie, this series. It just feels like a lot of soap opera filler told from an alien's perspective that I can't really connect with. Anyway, I'm very confused about why James Cameron is doing these Avatar films still. Why do we need 8 of them or whatever the hell it is he's making? I think maybe, you know what, if you're going to make so many sequels, maybe it's time to make Titanic 2. I can't recommend Avatar 3. Also on Hulu and Disney is The Bear Season 5. The Bear is an excellent show, although I will admit I'm a couple of seasons behind. But the final installment of The Bear has just premiered this week. Check it out if you're a big Bear fan. And if you haven't seen The Bear, I can't imagine anyone not liking The Bear. It's an extremely well-made show. Although, like I said, I have just too much going on. I have not watched season 4 and therefore haven't started season 5 yet. But I can't imagine it's not going to be good. Another show that I've heard good things about on Apple is Sugar Season 2. And this is a Colin Farrell plays a private detective in Hollywood kind of show. I've heard really good things. It looks really good. I love Colin Farrell, but I have not seen the first season, so I have not started season 2 yet. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think of Sugar. Is it worth watching? Is it not? It looks like it is, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. On Starz, Strangers Chapter 3 came out. Now, I liked Strangers 1. Couldn't really get through a couple of the other sequels. Again, those kinds of horror movies, they've kind of lost me the older I get. I can't really recommend this movie, but if you're into horror, that's the new one this week. On Peacock, there's a movie called Strung. It's by Blumhouse and Tyler Perry about a young girl who's a violinist who goes and tutors another creepy young girl. It actually looks pretty good. I don't know that this is one that I'm going to check out. It doesn't look so good that I have to try it, but it does look pretty good. If you're into Peacock and Tyler Perry, maybe give it a try. Little Brother is the new comedy on Netflix. It just came out yesterday, and I watched it last night, and I actually enjoyed it. It's stupid, but it is pretty funny. It's with John Cena and Eric Andre. I really like both of those actors. Eric Andre especially. The Eric Andre Show is amazing. If you haven't seen that, God, please check that out. Yeah, it's nothing special. It's perfectly good to have on in the background while you're doing other stuff, and it will make you laugh a handful of times throughout the movie. If I was seeing this in the theater and paid $20 for it, I might have been a little pissed. But just to have on in the background or to casually watch on Netflix, I mean, yeah, that's what this movie is for. It's worth watching. It's worth an hour and a half of your time. Last up that's new this week is a movie I have not watched yet. I'm going to watch it tonight. My wife is very excited about it. It is The Sheep Detectives on Amazon Prime. This looks charming and fun. It's with Hugh Jackman, but really the stars of the show are a bunch of CGI sheep that solve a crime. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Babe and movies like that. Was a big fan of Babe back in the day, so I'm curious to check this out. Like I said, my wife is very excited about this, so we're going to be watching it tonight together. Okay, that is all the movies that are recent and new this week, but next week, join me because I am excited about a couple of movies that I'll be talking about, along with all the other stuff that's just come out. Enola Holmes on Netflix comes out on the 1st. I liked the first 2. I'm excited about the third one. And then Elle Season 1 on Amazon also comes out on July 1st. That is the show version of Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde is kind of a classic comedy from my childhood, so I'm curious to check it out. I'm curious to see how it is. But I'm really curious, though, to hear what you guys think of all of these different movies. Is there anything that I'm sleeping on? Did I miss anything? Am I just way off base with I Will Find You or maybe 5 Pounds of Pressure that I just didn't care for? Avatar, there's got to be some people out there who like Avatar, and I did not. So anyway, I want to hear your opinions about this kind of stuff. I want to grow the channel. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will hopefully see you next week for Weekly Watchlist.